space research organization ISRO, BitGrit Incorporation. It's a startup of Japan. I also did an internship at CodeChef. Was a gold medalist at NIT Jalandhar. Recently passed out in 2021. And I have my own YouTube channel where I put content related to interview preparation, tech, data structures, everything. So yeah, this is a brief about me, and I'm super happy to be here today. Super excited to give talk to uh, somebody from GDSEs. Like I have been closely related to GDSE, have been my the college lead at my GDSE for 1.5 years. I was selected in 2019 and was relieved by mid 2020. So have been longly associated with GDSEs, and I know how they function. What are the things? What are the challenges? So you people have organized, like you have been doing really well. I have seen your page, so that's commendable job on the part of your lead and your core team. So why this particular session? We'll talk about placements. We'll talk about internships, what you are currently doing, and how you can ace your internships and placements. So what, when, how, and why of placement. Basically, we're going to talk about that. Right. So agenda for the day is going to be, we are going to discuss about a particular roadmap, like what all things are required for you to grab a good placement, whether it's in the term of technical skills. So which technical skills are required by product based companies? What exactly do you mean by uh, this roadmap? We'll talk about projects, like what kind of projects you should build, which all technologies you should work upon, and what are the type of questions being asked from those projects. We'll talk about the hiring process of different companies. When I say hiring process, so it can be on campus hiring process, off campus hiring process. uh, what exactly goes behind the hiring process of different companies? We'll talk about that. We'll talk about off campus placements. How can you be a part of off campus placements if companies are not visiting your campus to hire people? And we'll talk about interview skills, like what actually you should do in an interview, and at the end we can have a Q&A session where we'll discuss about all your doubts related to internships and placements particularly, right? So this is going to be the agenda for today. So you might be wondering why this picture is here. So the three words: parampara, pratishtha, anusashan. So when I say that throughout your journey, like I'll be delivering this lecture and I'll maybe and like you'll forget after some time what I've spoken. But still, like whenever you start coding, whenever you start practicing, whether you're in your first year, second year, third year, there's no time that you are late. It's the time whenever you realize that you have to do this and you start doing it. It's the time. And three things that you should keep in mind at this particular point of time is consistency, hard work, and practice. Because there will be a lot of time when you will see and you will face that things are not going in your particular direction. Things are not in what exactly do you want them to be in. You will face a lot of time that coding is not for you, programming is not for you, you are not built to do this. So remember these three things, and definitely, like it happens with everyone, almost everyone. It is you who have to be consistent at that point. You have to understand why you started, exactly what was the purpose, so that you can understand why uh, we come up with. Next is what is required for a good internship or a placement. So these are the things that are required for a good placement or an internship. Talking about technical subjects, one, like you should be aware about one programming language. One, when I say one programming language, particularly object oriented programming language, that is OOPS. It can be C++ or it can be Java, particularly because we have a lot of resources available in C++ and Java. Data structural algorithms, when I say data structural algorithms, so you should be, once you are done with one particular language, then it would be easy for you to understand data structural algorithms in that particular language. Then some core CS subjects, like in your computer science degree, there are a lot of subjects that you study, right? Whether it's web designing, it's cryptography, it's anything. But some subjects that are very important from placement point of view and that are more stressed in your interviews, we'll talk about those particular subjects and the topics that are important from those particular subjects. We'll talk about projects, what kind of projects should you build, and what goes behind making those projects, and how, what are the type of questions you might be asked from those projects. We'll talk a little bit about competitive programming and open source as well. So what programming language to learn? When I say programming language to learn, so you can pick any one programming language. which you are in, which you are comfortable in. Like people, I used to get a doubt, sir. I have done C++, sir. I've done C also. I've done Python also. I've done Java also. I know four languages. But there's no use knowing four languages if you're not able to deep dive into one particular language. So rather than learning multiple languages, just focus on one language and make sure you are well versed with that particular language. Like nobody's going to see you know four languages or five languages or six languages. It's just the one language, and in that particular language, you should go in the depth first search model. Like uh, inside that particular language, what are all the components that are necessary? Should make sure that you are comfortable in that. Next, you should clear the basics and make sure that they come naturally to you. Learn the standard libraries in that particular language. When I say standard libraries, so standard libraries stands for STL in C++ and collection frameworks in Java. So these are helpful in solving a lot of questions. These are predefined packages that are available in CPP and Java, and that can help you understand various aspects like that can ease the process of coding when you're just beginning to start, right? And the last is practice, practice, and practice. That is something that I have already touched upon. Next is path to DSL. So everybody has been saying DSL goes, data structures kar lo, like it's very important. Algorithms are very important. So what all things exactly in data structure algorithms are very important? How should I go about doing it? Someone is saying GFG kar lo, somebody saying lead code kar lo, somebody saying code chef pe kar lo, code forces pe kar lo. So what is suitable for me, right? So the first thing that you should make sure is why we are using DSLGOs. Like what was the need to do like what was the need to understand DSLGOs? Why there are so many data structures? So there are so many data structures because we are looking forward to optimization. Everybody in this world is looking forward to a setup where he's using the minimum time and getting the maximum output. When I say minimum time, so that closely relates to time complexity and minimum space. That is the least amount of space we are consuming and maximum efficiency we are providing. So data structures comes into picture when we are looking forward to optimization. So make sure you are aware of time complexity. You are aware of these optimizations. Then once you're done with that, you should be able to implement basic operations of each DS, like what are stacks, how to implement stacks, how to implement stacks with array, how to implement linked lists, how to implement stacks with linked lists. So all these things are very necessary. Make sure you do it on your own and give some, like, I would say, more time into this so that you can understand the fundamentals. Once your fundamentals are clear, rest of the things are going to be pretty well. Next, talking about dictionary operations, traversals of each DS. Uh, After you're done with the basics of data structures, then you move on to algorithms. Like these are very basic algorithms of searching, selection, sorting. Different types of searching are there: linear search, binary search, selection algorithm, sorting algorithms are there. Different types of sorting algorithm: bubble sort, selection sort, insertion sort, merge sort, and like a lot of sorting algorithms are there. This is the very basic. Like I would say these are the initial tools that you should have in your hand once you go on solving questions. Then there are algorithm design techniques like two-pointer approach, binary search approach, sliding window, dynamic programming, greedy, bit masking, backtracking, number theory, range queries, traversal. So like a lot of algorithm design techniques are there that after learning your data structure, you should go and focus upon at least 10-15 questions of each particular algorithm so that you can get a better idea of how things are working. Now, practice random questions from any source, be it LeetCode, be it GFG, HackerRank. It's up to you. If you're particularly looking for placements and internships, then I would recommend going for LeetCode and GFG. If you're looking forward to, like, if you're passionate about coding, if you want to do coding, if you find fun in coding, then you can go and go for competitive programming. And competitive programming is like, it's a kind of a passion. Like people are, it's always a controversy, like whether competitive programming is necessary. Should I do competitive programming? Without competitive programming hoga hi nahi. Like that's not the case. It is like, I would say ki you should definitely give it a try. If you think that it is your cup of tea, like you think that it works for you, then you should go ahead and do competitive programming. If it is not working for you, then you can maybe stress more upon data structure algorithms. But generally what happens in a company's process, The first round is an online test, so that might be a little typical, but for interviews, you will be asked majorly normal data structure algorithms that you can find on GFG and LeetCode. Talking about CS fundamentals, when I say CS fundamentals, so computer science fundamentals, there are a lot of subjects that are already there in your computer science fundamentals, but which subjects are important? So when I say which subjects are important, so out of all the subjects that you study in your computer science degree, these four subjects are majorly stressed upon. Out of these four subjects, like first is OOPS, that is object oriented programming skills. uh, it's basically the properties, the design patterns, the principles, UML diagrams, principles of OOPS like abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, types of polymorphism. Make sure you understand these topics well. This is a very, very important topic from the point of view of interviews. Then comes OS. When I say OS, so OS includes process and thread management, scheduling, synchronization, deadlocks, memory management. So this is the second most important topic from the point of view of interviews. Then comes DBMS. So you should be aware about the theory of DBMS and SQL queries. You can practice on interview bit and LeetCode. Computer networks is not a very, very important topic. It is asked by some companies, but not all. Like if you talk about the process of Cisco, so Cisco is a basically networking company, so it will have a major weightage to computer networks in its process. Similarly, Samsung also has computer networks as a part of their process. So make sure you're aware of the basics like what is OSI model, TCP/IP model differences, UDP protocols. So make sure you like what is HTTP protocol. So make sure these basics are at least clear, right? Next, coming on to projects. So what kind of projects can you expect from the particular uh, uh, interviewer? So interviewer might ask you, like the first question can be, you can discuss your project in detail. When he says that you discuss your project in detail, like the specific format that you should follow while explaining your project. When I say specific format, so the specific format goes like, so firstly, make sure you tell the interviewer what this project is about. Majorly the objective of the project, why you started up with the project, what is the purpose behind this project, whether there's a social problem that you're solving, whether there's a personal problem that you're solving. So why actually the thought came into your mind, you started up with this project, right? The first thing is that. Second is visually stress upon the tech stack that you have used, like which particular tech stack you have focused upon, which particular tech uh, you are you have used in this particular project. So make sure you highlight that tech stack. Third is make sure that you tell him whether it was an individual project, group project, and what was your particular role, why, like what you did as a part of this particular project, right? And the last thing is tell him about the scalability of this project, like how you are planning to scale up, what are the consequences you are currently facing, and how you are trying to improve upon them, how you're going to take this project in future. So all this is will come as the fourth point. So this particular pattern, if you're following while explaining your projects, that can help you like help the interviewer understand the overall view of your project. Like, yeah, this person has told me the objective, he has told me the tech stack, he's told me his particular contribution, and he has told me how he's planning to scale up the project. So in this way, like the entire thing we have covered, and he'll be a little more impressed about that the person is concerned about the future of the project also, right? Next things, there can be some problem solved by a particular project. What is the problem being solved by a project? Implementation of a particular functionality. When I say implementation of a particular functionality, let's say your project has a particular implementation of a load balancer, right? You're writing the code of a load balancer. He might ask you, like your entire interview might go on load balancer only. Like he might ask you to write the code for load balancer and make some changes in it, and how can you optimize it in much efficient way, right? What problems you have faced while making the project, how you tackled it, what you want to improve in the project further, which library helped you implement a particular function, which database you used and why. So all these things are very, very important from the point of view of project. Make sure you are well aware of which database you're using, like whether you're using SQL, NoSQL, if SQL, why SQL, if NoSQL, why NoSQL, MongoDB, anything, like kind of questions are very, very, very common. Next is which technical framework. For example, you're using React. Why you using React? For example, you're using Django. Why you are using Django rather than any other framework? So make sure you are aware of these things, the advantages of what you are using, so that you can satisfy the interviewer, right? Next is the hiring process of different companies. Majorly, the hiring process consists of 2 to 3 coding questions. First round consists of 2 to 3 coding questions for major companies, be it on platforms like HackerRank, HackerEarth, TechGig. There are a lot of platforms on which these coding tests are conducted. Although some companies ask MCQs based upon aptitude, DBMS, SQL, computer networks, object-oriented programming, and data structure algorithms. Next rounds are basically interview rounds. Round two and round three stands for interviews, in which you will be again majorly focused upon data structure algorithm. I would say 60 to 70% of your rounds will be based upon data structure algorithms. If you talk about product-based companies like Microsoft, Amazon, Samsung, and the rest of the part will be about your projects, about computer science fundamentals, and that's it. Nothing else is going to be asked. Talking about resources, so what are the best resources that you should prefer for coding practice? If you're particularly looking forward to placements, then Geeks for Geeks, Lead Code, and Interviewbit are the best resources for preparation. If you're passionate about coding, if you're passionate about programming, then you can go for CodeChef, Codeforces as well. MCQs, it's IndiaBix and Geeks for Geeks. Like, there are a lot of MCQs stored for aptitude on IndiaBix. There are a lot of MCQs that have been asked in previous year GATE examinations that are available on Geeks for Geeks. You should go through them so that you can understand uh, the things behind what type of MCQs are being asked for computer science fundamentals. So, but my dream company doesn't come to my college campus. So, what to do even now? Like, what to do now even after preparing? So, companies are not visiting your campus. You have prepared well. So, what are the methods that you can go for? So then comes the case of off-campus placement. So for off-campus placements, there is the one thing that is the most undervalued is careers website. Go to, like, you might have heard of careers.google.com or careers.microsoft.com. These are career sites of particular companies like Microsoft and Google, and every company has its own career website, right? So job openings are listed there on their careers website, through which you can go and apply. Apart from directly applying, you can get a job ID on that particular posting and take that job ID from the careers website and go to LinkedIn, ask an employee who's already working in that company. Maybe if he is an alumni of your college or you know him personally, then it would be better. Even if you don't know him, then maybe ping around 10 people with your message. And the message should go like this: hey, so and so, my name is so and so. I'm good at technical skills like data structure algorithms and so and so. I have worked at so and so companies, and I have solved problems on I've solved these many problems. If you have star ratings on different platforms, I have these star ratings. I came across a job opening at your particular site, and I'm looking forward to uh, apply for that. So can you please give me a referral for that? I have attached my resume along with. So this is the message that you should frame and send to somebody who is working at that company, so that you can fast track your application process through a referral. Next, be active on social medias like LinkedIn, so that you can connect with relevant people. You can get to know when are the openings coming. You can get to understand what actually it's going on in the market, what are the skills that are more focused upon. So make sure this is something that you should uh, make yourself aware of, because many a times due to unawareness we miss upon a lot of opportunities. Next is internal hiring. Whenever there is an internal hiring coming upon, like, you should be connected with like at least 2 3 people from each company, so that you come to understand whenever there's an internal hiring or so going on in that company. At the end, concluding part of this slide, I would like to say uh, you should have faith in you. That's the actual thing. And try to cover most of the questions in this. So that was it for this particular deck. Thank you so much for being so patient and listening. We'll meet in some other session. You can follow me till then on YouTube, Instagram, and any other platform. I would be more than happy to take your queries, and we can have the queries here as well.
Thank you, sir. It was an amazing session, and I hope they must have some doubts also. So, folks, if you have any doubts, then do let us know. This is your chance that you can ask. We have one question. Being a BSc honors in computer science student, we are not eligible for big tech firms like FANG as they have BTech degrees in their eligibility to. So, what to do in such cases?
Not actually. What I would recommend, there can be 2 3 pathways for a BSc student. One thing is, you can pursue, definitely you can go and pursue a master's degree. Maybe if I'm not wrong, it can be MSc or MCA directly. So after that, you are eligible for most of the companies. Like the value of MCA is equal to that of BTech. And for all the companies in which BTech is eligible, MCA is almost eligible, right? Second thing is, like, if you are from BSc Computer Science degree and you have a good knowledge of all the skills that we have mentioned, right? So what can be done in this case is you can go for startups. Like, let's say any good startup that is working in this particular field, in computer science field, maybe in whether you're interested in front end, back end, any of the technologies you're interested in, go for that particular startup. And once you work in that startup maybe for 1 year or 1.5 year, then nobody's going to see your college degree. After that, when you switch to, you can switch to any other company, then there's nothing like that your college degree will matter. So I would say, rather than directly going to FANG, make sure you have a work experience of 1 year, 2 years. So this can be the second pathway, and I would say this is a better pathway if you are definitely going to look forward to work in those companies. So target a particular startup, and there are a lot of good startups that are paying equivalent to FANG. Like, I would say nowadays startups are paying even more than FANG. A lot of startups, if you name CureFit, if you talk about Razorpay, if you talk about SMS Gupshup, ShareChat, so they are paying even more than FANG. So you can definitely look forward to these startups. And yeah.
Next question we have is what is the difference between employee hiring and internal hiring?
Internal hiring is basically like, whenever a company is not posting job on their careers website, and internally some team is having an opening, so that particular team employees are putting out that there are some openings in their particular company. So that is basically what internal hiring is. Employee hiring is in general when everybody, it's open to everybody, and like the entire company, it's being hired through a particular channel, and there are a lot of openings on that particular thing. So this is I mean to say, the difference between internal hiring and employee hiring.
Next question we have is some tech gurus say that सिर्फ CP कर लो हो जाएगा. Is it true?
नहीं, मतलब it's not like सिर्फ सीपी कर लो हो जाएगा. It should be like, even if you say, if your presentation skills are not good, how can CP help? It is both. Like, it should be balanced, I would say, not very focused upon one thing. But yeah, if you are pro at CP, then like, nobody can stop you. This is also a fact. So if you have good star ratings, because most of the product based companies, they're looking forward, like in their interview rounds, you will go and you'll see they'll just ask two data structure algorithms questions, they'll just ask two CP questions. So the CP and data structure algorithm questions, one and the same thing. It's just that a little, like, the level of question matters, right? So it's not about सिर्फ CP कर लोगे तो हो जाएगा. When, even if you have done CP, but you're sitting in front of the interviewer not able to explain your approach, so what's the use of that CP?
Yes.
Because they're actually looking forward to a candidate who, like, they look at the candidate from the overall point of view, like whether he's able to explain, whether he's able to present his solution in a better way, whether he's able to whether he goes with the company's values, company's principles and all. So everything matters. And also, it's like, for most of the product based companies, it's not just CP, it's not just development. Still, like, in some or the other round, you might be asked about your computer science fundamentals, and your one or two good projects in your resume are a must. So that's something that sums up everything when you are looking forward to a good placement.
Thank you so much. And next question we have is on which we should focus more, development or DSA?
First, DSA. First, I would say, devote, like, if you're in a second year, devote around 6 months, 4 months. Everybody has his or her own timeline. So devote 4 months, 6 months to DSA. Once you're comfortable in DSA, then start with any one development, and side by side, don't stop doing DSA. Make sure you're practicing when you're doing development also. This is the best. And there's nothing like more focus upon. More focus should definitely be on DSA. And development side, I would say, two good projects, and you should be able to explain those projects. That's it.
That's great. Next question we have is, sir, sometimes when we send our resume on LinkedIn, they don't respond. Then what to do about that?
Because what happens is, let's say there's an opening by Microsoft, right? So now imagine the number of students in India who are looking forward to apply to Microsoft internship. So whenever they search upon for persons who are people who are already working in Microsoft, so they just start sending across, let's say, 10 messages, 10 to 10 people at Microsoft. So every employee, like whenever there's a new opening on in your company, so you don't imagine we get hundreds of messages like, sir, this is my resume, I am from so and so college, so this. So try making sure ki don't send to those common people only who are always active on LinkedIn, yeah, who always put out content, who are always there active on LinkedIn, because they already receive a huge number of messages and they might miss upon your message. Try searching for people and make sure you are already in touch with someone. मतलब किसी से you should talk priorly. You should try to make sure कि somebody you know already on LinkedIn, you have talked to them on LinkedIn, and whenever there's an opening in their company, you can message him directly. So there are more chances that he will reply because he knows you, right? So make sure target like pick in a list of companies that you are looking forward to target, and make sure you are connected with some of the employees from that particular company. That is going to help.
Thank you so much. And the next question we have is, which tech skills should we focus to make a project?
It is not about which tech skills, it is your particular interest. I wouldn't say it's whether it's Android, whether it's web or anything. It can be anything that works for you. I would not say go for this particular technology or that particular technology. When you're in your second year, make sure you try upon Android also, you try upon web also, try upon ML also, and see what goes for you. Like it automatically comes up ki this is the thing that I'm liking. So the thing that you're liking, go with it. It's like everything has its own value. There's nothing like that in development this is given a more value or this is given less value. Everything is equally valued.
Next question we have is, what to focus more on, skill or an internship?
First skill, then internship. Make sure you are skilled, then you should go for internship. Try building more of your skills in internship, and then you will be uh, at a better position.
Yeah, true. How to connect on recruiters and HR on LinkedIn, and how it can play a role in landing a dream job.
Okay. So how to connect on recruiters on Azure on LinkedIn is like I would say it's a very very great platform. Make sure you, if people are trying to add value to somebody's life, make sure you are also putting content on LinkedIn. Try making your personal brand, not now, but whenever you feel like you are done with placements and internships and you have got everything, and now you are eligible to help anybody, help someone. So make sure you make your LinkedIn profile better. Make sure everything is listed on LinkedIn profile. It's up to date, and you connect with people. You engage with their content. Let's say, for example, somebody has not accepted your request. Somebody is not accepting your request, and you can still see what all content he is putting. So try to engage with this content. Maybe you can comment on the post that he has made. So if you are adding value to somebody's life, you are adding, like, you are engaging with their content, you're engaging with their post, so definitely he or she will accept your request someday. But there is a limitation also, like people, there's a limitation of around 30,000 connections on LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
I have already crossed 30,000 connections, so I'm not able to accept the requests on LinkedIn. So this can be the case, but not with most of the people. So I believe this technique works.
Yeah. If a BSc student contribute in some organizations like GSOC or Outreachy, will it also give us the opportunity to work in that organization for a long time?
No, it's not about like it's not very relevant from a job or a full-time perspective, but definitely this experience of going for GSOC or outreach can definitely be a plus point in your resume, and many of the startups will hire you because like when you see openings from Grofers or when you see openings from startups like Grab, so they're particularly looking forward to candidates who have done GSOC. So matlab, they look forward to candidates who are very good at development. They should have done GSOC. So you definitely have a plus point while applying to those companies.
Yeah.
So not in opportunity in that organizations that you're already working with in GSOC or Outreachy, but definitely that is going to be a very very good plus point once you are looking forward to jobs and placements in startups.
Yeah. When applying off campus, what companies to look for?
When applying off campus, what companies look for? What companies look for, or
What companies look for?
what companies look for? So it's the same skills that I've discussed in this particular slide. It's the same data structure algorithms, your product development skills, your internship experiences. You should have done good projects. So this is something that they look forward to. There's nothing separate.
So can you explain your startup and what do company look for from them?
Sir, explain start your on startup and what do company look from them. I think if I'm not getting the question wrong, he's asking if we can explain startup in to the company's interview, or what he's trying to say. I didn't understand the question.
Even I didn't understand the question.
Ujjwal, if you can frame it up and put it again.
Yeah, that would be great. I have one
Hello,
question.
sir. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Rishi, go ahead.
Okay. Hello, sir. Thank you so much for this session. And sir, I just want to ask you one thing that many of my folks are doing competitive programming on CodeChef and all, but there is a huge havoc going there, like cheating and all involved in that CodeChef. So many of the people shifted to the lead code and code forces, etc. So according to you, what should be the best criteria to go for CodeChef, or going for only GFG practice, lead code, and code forces for practice?
See, at the end, what matters is you are able to solve the question in an interview. That is the final thing that matters, right? Or you are able to solve the question in the online test of the company. So I wouldn't say ki, like for example, if cheating is also going on in CodeChef, right? And like a lot of cases have been reported for the same. I have been working with CodeChef for quite a long time, and we have been getting reports of plagiarism and long challenges and so. But still, I wouldn't say ki you should shift from a platform just because of plagiarism, or just because of plagiarism or so. If you feel that you are developing your skills, the type of questions that CodeChef is providing are good, then definitely invest your time, because understanding those questions, solving those questions is definitely going to help you build your skills in any way, right? And there's nothing like it totally depends upon you how good you are at, like how good you are at developing your skills. So there's nothing like that ki if somebody is shifting from CodeChef to CodeForces, I should also go to from CodeChef to CodeForces. If CodeChef is working for you, definitely remain there and make sure that you are getting some valuable output from that particular website, and that is helping you to build your skills. So that's it. There's nothing else that is required. And if
Okay,
you're
sir.
particularly looking forward to placements, internships, then I would recommend go for lead code and GFG. Also, like code chef, you should try giving contests like lunchtime, snack down, cook off, starters. So these contests can help you make yourself better for online test of companies, because let's say they have a time of span of 2.5 hours. So companies tests are also similar, 2.5 hours, 3 to 4 questions. So that's going to help you, like kind of practice tests you can give, right?
Okay, sir. But sir, actually, what I thought was, when I give the coding competitions, I get a lot of discouragement because I am solving the problems honestly, and then I'm getting the rank very below because of cheaters. Gaining the ranks.
That this always happens. Like this is going to stay with you, not only in this like coding domain. Whenever you join a company also, you will find a lot of things. There are a lot of people who will be taking your credit for the work that you have done. And even in your college exams also, a lot of cheating might be going on. Somebody is getting marks. These things will carry on, these things will go on, but at the end, the thing that you should keep in mind is you are developing yourselves, you are developing your skills, and that's it. Nothing else matters. Like if those cheaters, like they won't be able to perform well in the interviews, then and you will be able to perform in the interviews. So what they'll do of those rankings, or what they will do of the ranks that they've got in the online these code chef contests. So that's not the thing. Like at the end, you will be at a better place if you you know what you're doing, right?
Okay, thanks a lot, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, okay, great.
Yes. This is a common question that most people ask. What to include in the resume and how long should be the resume?
Yeah. So when I say resume, so resume it should be a one-page resume because like for most of the companies, I've talked to a lot of recruiters in product-based companies also. So what they say is like they have just 6 seconds to go through a resume. Like they receive a lot of resume for one particular opening and they just go through the resume for around 6 seconds. So in those 6 seconds, what is the thing that you want to highlight? So there are different sections in a resume like your skills, projects, experiences, your education, and your achievements. Right? These 5 sections are there, and major focus, like the major focus of a particular company is on your skills, your projects, and your experiences. So make sure these three things are structured well. Take a good resume template, be it DD resume or be it any template that works for you, and try including all the skills. Try changing your resume based upon the company's JD. Like it's not just one static resume that you should have. Whenever you're applying for different company, make sure you check out their JD and the things that they have written in their JD. And if you feel that you're confident in them, so that is going to help you better shortlist for that company. It's not just that one single resume that you have made, right? That's one thing.
Yeah.
Secondly, in terms, when I talk about your projects, so whenever you're writing your projects, make sure you highlight the tech stack that you have used. You should mention, like if you have a lot of projects, don't mention all the projects. At least 2 to 3 projects are sufficient, and they should be the projects that you feel are you are most comfortable in and confident in, right? Secondly, about your experiences, like whether you've done internship at different companies or whether you have built projects during an internship, so that is also going to give a positive picture of you in your resume. I have a separate video about resume on my channel. You can go and visit that also for a detailed overview of how a resume should look like.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir. We have pretty more questions if you are up for it.
Yeah, sure. Let's take it.
Yeah. So the question is, I am an ISRO enthusiast. So would you like to share about your ISRO internship, what you did and how you got it, any exam or interview?
Okay, so ISRO was through cold emailing. So if you are aware of cold emailing, basically when we email a company, email somebody in a particular company, and we get a response. So it was through cold emailing. I in my third year of my college, when I was in my fifth semester, I already got an internship at Samsung, so I was exploring what all I can do and everything. So I was exploring machine learning at that time, Python machine learning and all. So I cold email like computer scientists at ISRO, and I received a reply from them. Like we got on a call, and I did a winter internship at ISRO. The project was based upon neural networks, GAN in specific, and it was a real time project. Like it was to be used somewhere by ISRO. So it was a good experience, great experience, I would say. Mentor was a computer scientist, so we had weekly calls, we had bi-weekly syncs where we used to discuss about the project. It was a 2 months internship. I was able to complete the project in 2 months, and yeah, got a letter of recommendation, got a good project certificate. So that's it. It was a great experience, and it was there was no particular as a opening on ISRO site, but it was through cold emailing. So once the cold email was done, so after that, 2 interview rounds were scheduled. Those interview rounds were majorly based upon Python and machine learning, nothing else.
Okay, that was a great experience indeed, I must say. Sir, I am in third year, and how I start coding or start data structures and algorithms?
I think most of the things I've covered in the session. So go and practice for if you are to start with coding, like if you prefer videos, so there are a lot of video content available on YouTube. If you are looking forward to blogs, there are blogs on LeetCode, GFG. So start with anything. Start with the thing that works for you, whether it's videos or whether it's text-based system. So yeah, that's it.
The next question we have is, what type of project should we build, like which make the social impacts or game or some business related projects?
More stress should be given upon social impacts. Then you can go for business related projects, and then you can go for games. Like anything works. It's nothing like that. Okay, this is more important. So, but still, the project having a social importance might look good in a resume, and you might even use the same project in some hackathon also. So that's something that I would recommend as of now.
Thank you so much, sir. The next question we have is, if we aren't able to solve questions on lead code, like we have an idea on how to do it, but not exact solution, then I usually check solution, the easy to understand ones. So is it okay, or should I stop lead code or try any other approach?
See, this is like if you are in the beginning stage, I would say definitely the everybody has to go through and check the solutions. So there's nothing uh, kind of a problem in that. But like once you're done with multiple questions, once you're done with all the approaches, and you're doing it for the second time, then I believe that approach should be there in your mind for the second time, and you should not check solution second time. Maybe stress more upon building your approach in a better way, right? So first time you can go, like you when you're in first year, second year, everybody goes through tutorials, everybody goes through blogs, so that's very common, not a problem, definitely.
Thank you, sir. I think we don't have any more questions. It was an amazing session, and it was amazing to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you so much, thank you so much, the entire team. Thank you so much, Akanksha, for having me here. And yeah,
Thank you so much, sir.
bye.
Bye. Thank you, everyone, for joining. You all can leave now.